Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Todd Talk, a presentation of Oklahoma Baptist University's Department of Athletic Communications. We've had some great guests this week. We think we've got another great one. We're going to talk swimming and diving on Bison Hill. As just completed first-year head coach Matt Hood joins us. And Matt, congratulations on making it through 1 year. That's always a big chore when you take a new job. But how did your first year, in your opinion, go on Bison Hill?
It was pretty good. We definitely had some ups and downs along the way. I feel like we did a really good job kind of getting the team acclimated to what I'm all about, how I like to run things. Definitely is different from what they were used to. So getting through a transition was tough, especially for the upperclassmen. But they definitely have pulled through, and we've got everybody didn't graduate coming back. So that's really exciting to have. And with that, they're really excited now that they've kind of been through for a year and understand kind of what we're doing at the beginning, where the end is going to be, which they didn't have at the beginning of last year. So they're all super excited to get in and get back to training hard and kind of putting the work in. So.
Okay, the layperson might ask, Matt, obviously in head coaching in any sport, there's a difference in personalities. Yeah. But what is the difference in the way you conduct things as opposed to the way other people might conduct things?
That's a tough one to really say. And really it just is, I think, just my personality coming through in the way that it works. There's not one thing that's like, hey, I just do this thing drastically differently. But I just, I am who I am, on and off the deck. I expect the kids to do what needs to get done. But I also understand there's a lot of time that we need to be chill and have fun and relax and, not be super high strung about everything. So kind of having a good balance between all that.
All right. Was it intimidating at all to come in after what Sam had accomplished at OBU in such a short period of time? Because you too know very well about what it is to start a program from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely a little bit intimidating. Going, oh my goodness, what is, this is huge shoes to fill. But that said, swimming is swimming at the basic core. The intimidating thing was just the way Sam did things was pretty different. And so having to get everybody bought into the new way, that was really the toughest part. Is kind of getting everybody to change their mindset and be excited about what we're doing moving forwards.
Matt Hood, the soon-to-be second-year head swimming and diving coach at Oklahoma Baptist University, is our guest here on Todd Talk. Matt, as a coach in your sport, you have to rely on individuals to be pretty self-disciplined. It means they need to get in, they need to get their own work done in the pool and on the boards. Were you pleased with the discipline in your first year that your teams, both the men and women, showed?
Yeah, I was pretty pleased. The big thing, though, is it is a very, very individual sport. But we need to, that's one area we're going to be doing a lot differently, is being a lot less individual in what we're doing. Because there's a lot of people who just kind of think of themselves and themselves only. And even though it's an individual sport, we still need to be making sure we're keeping the team in the forefront of our mind, and understanding that, that's the big goal. And so we can be super excited when the team has success, whether it's them involved in it necessarily or not on a relay or whatnot. So really excited about doing some different things this year in training that aren't quite so individualized, but are really team focused in training, which tends to draw out the best in people, as they're motivated to do things because they know everybody else is relying on them, but also has got their back along the way.
Is that just as simple, Matt, as a change of mindset amongst your athletes?
Yeah, part of it is change of mindset, and then you can't typically just get someone to change their mind just by saying, "Hey, think different." I think we're all well aware. So it's a lot of doing things to train the mind to think differently. So I've been talking with a lot of folks on various ways to accomplish that. And I'm really, really excited about some of the stuff we've got planned.
Okay, I want to talk about you for just a moment. I mentioned earlier that you're coming into still a relatively new program at Oklahoma Baptist, but it's much further advanced than the one you came from at Chowan, where you actually built that program from the ground up. Talk about the process of building a swimming and diving program at any level, either the NAI or the Division II level.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously when I went into that, I had been, I came out of the club coaching world. So, you know, so I wasn't really following someone else's formula. It was, you know, doing what I thought was going to be the best thing. Again, talk with different folks. You know, so the big keys that I had kind of found were getting some good solid athletes in, who are going to be able to compete well and kind of put you on the board a little bit. And then making sure that you've got some good depth within your roster to compete all across the board and have kids who are ready to move up, and develop along the way. You know, and here at OBU, you know, I feel like we're definitely beyond the, okay, we just need to kind of start existing phase, and really are in the, we've got to add some really good depth and have a full squad of highly competitive athletes, not just one or two, you know, kind of super elite athletes, but have, you know, our full conference scoring squad being in a position to really score well, and not relying on just a select handful of kids.
Matt Hood, the swimming and diving coach at Oklahoma Baptist University, is our guest on this episode of Todd Talk. Matt, you came from North Carolina. So what was the attraction to taking over a program like Oklahoma Baptist?
Really, I love the school a lot. You know, the mission of OBU, you know, the Christian environment here was great. And being in a position where, you know, I'm not going to be held back in what's going on. You know, really excited about kind of jumping into a high level program and being able to continue that.
Surprises this year. How about some individuals that maybe surprised you in some of their performances? I know it was a learning process for you and the student athletes really at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Surprises. One of my, I'd say, kind of big surprise came out of Jamie Edwards. You know, starting the year out, you know, knew she had lots of talent, was a really talented individual. You know, didn't see a whole lot early on in the year out of her, and was kind of like, okay. But coming back after Christmas, you know, we come back after Christmas break, she had a new mindset. You know, she at that point decided she was going to start doing things different, and just completely took off from there on. You know, took her hunter fly to a whole new level at conference, and you know, so that was pretty surprising. Not so much the way that she was able to compete at the end, but how much of a difference really that mindset shift made for her at the midseason.
As a head coach, how do you go about preparing your swimmers and divers for the ultimate, which would be the NCAA championships, the RMAC championships? How do you pace them in their various meets to get them at their peak performance at the right time?
So typically we go through, you know, before the season ever begins, our put together our season plan and have an ebb and flow in our training cycle, periods of more work and a little less work, so that the body is able to be stressed and then have a chance to recover, and rebuild, and then, you know, getting stronger and faster and kind of having an ebb and flow, and then adjusting the type of work we do, to really be a lot more race relevant, particularly right towards the end, and then making sure we get a good taper, with a lot of rest. You know, rest combined with high level work, so the body is functioning at the highest level possible. You're kind of asking it to do its best, but not too much, so that you're not wearing it out and it's really ready to peak when conference time comes.
You know, we've talked with all the coaches on Bison Hill about this summer during our Todd Talks, but recruiting to Oklahoma Baptist is a little different than recruiting to other places, because not only do they demand excellence as an athlete, but as a student. I mean, it's a very challenging university where you get the whole complete academic and athletic experience.
Yeah. And honestly, recruiting here is a little easier than recruiting where I was at Chowan before. I realize it's a very different environment. And one thing that's great about swimming is, for the most part, when you start to find your good athletes in swimming, they tend to be great students as well. So that's not really a big disadvantage. And honestly, it helps. You know, people see, okay, yes, this really is a great academic school. That's what I'm looking for. And you know, in my recruiting, that's one of the things that I'm really striving for is finding kids that are the right fit for the school. You know, if I don't really care how fast they might be, if they're not going to be a good fit, it's, you know, I'm probably not going to take it too far just because it's not going to work out. You know, I want people who want to be here, and that part of that is they want to be challenged in the classroom and really get pushed and really have to learn what they're here for.
Matt, what has this shutdown period done for you? I mean, has it stymied your ability to get out and watch people? Have you had to recruit in different manners? Has your work style changed a lot, just simply because of the times that we're living in right now?
Um, I mean, you know, working from home for a while, that was an adventure. Just dealing with family and everything throughout the workday. But for the most part, I've gone through this, not a whole lot has changed, with kind of the way I tend to do recruiting. Would have loved to get out and watch a few meets over the summer, but um, you know, I do a lot just kind of based on time analysis and kind of time history of where people have been and where they're headed, and really just talking to them, talking to their coaches, and getting to know them pretty well. Again, figuring out, making sure they're good fits. So really, it's just been a whole lot of time making phone calls. And the great thing about kind of everything being shut down is people have a lot more availability during the day, to take calls, and it's not quite so big of a scheduling issue sometimes.
What is it like to recruit to a university in a state that there's really one of only two swimming programs, and that includes at the Division I level? Does that make your job a little bit easier? And do you limit the scope of where you recruit to a certain region, or are you open to a national kid?
I'm open to national kids for sure. I've been doing quite a bit more kind of regional recruiting. Texas is a big hotbed. You know, that Oklahoma, obviously, there's only us and one other school that's got a swim program here. Kansas doesn't have a lot of college swimming opportunities for kids. And then Arkansas is another area where we'll draw quite a bit from. And then outside of that, I'm always open to kind of national kids and, you know, international as well. But it definitely is it's different not having a lot of other schools because it's, you know, either if you want to stay in state and keep swimming, you got two options. But if you're not wanting to stay in state, you're kind of going all over the place. But people typically don't think of Oklahoma as a swimming state. So people are kind of always surprised a little bit when I'll get in touch with them. But I found Texas to be a real hotbed because while they have a few more swim programs, they don't have anywhere near as many college programs as they have just swimmers in high school and at the club level coming up through to be able to handle all that. So a lot of them are looking to have to go out of state to figure out where they're going. So that works out real well for us, not being that they're too far away.
I would think the tradition that has been established in the pool at OBU would be very helpful when you're recruiting to a state that not a lot of people think is a swimming state. You can go and say, look, we've been in the top 10 in the Division II national tournament before. Does that help you a lot? I mean, to give you a lot more credibility in the state where oftentimes, as you mentioned, people don't think about it as a swimming state.
Yeah, it does help. You know, definitely there's some name recognition there, and people, you know, it's not a who is this? What school? It's like, oh, I remember, I've heard about them before. You guys really good. It's like, yep, and we want to keep getting better. You know, and that's why I'm on the phone with you. They kind of get excited about that. Like, oh, really, this is part of what's making this team great. Is, you know, the different individuals coming in and working together.
The success internationally of United States swimming has always been very, very good. But since you graduated and were a student athlete almost a decade ago, do you now see the growth of the sport collegiately a lot bigger than it was just a decade ago when you were competing?
Um, Things are definitely getting faster. You know, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily just here in the States. I think it's across the world as people are doing new things in training, learning new techniques, that sort of thing. You know, it's changed, but I wouldn't say that it's gotten a lot bigger. I know, you know, when I swam with NAIA level, and that's gotten a lot faster since I graduated, which is exciting to see kind of the continuation of that. Division II swimming has gotten a lot faster. And so it's really neat to kind of see some of the expansion. When I was going through, there was a whole lot less swim college programs out there. A lot have started and kind of come up, and schools have realized, hey, swim programs really are something great to have. When you're bringing in great athletes, typically really great high quality individuals, it's something that adds to the dynamic of the university and isn't a detractor.
All right, let's talk about recruiting. I asked you before we came on, Matt. We're talking to Matt Hood, the swimming and diving coach at Oklahoma Baptist University on Todd Talk. You said so far things seem to be going really, really good, both in the near term and the long term future as far as targets that you're looking at for Bison Hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. So we've got a really great group of kids coming in this fall. It's going to add some great depth. I mentioned earlier that's something that I'm really working on is getting some good depth. We've got an awesome group of guys and girls coming in that's going to make a big difference for us. A lot of kids who are going to make immediate impacts at the conference championship. So we've got that coming in this fall. I think our relays are going to look drastically different in a good way. We graduated some good kids last year, but we're definitely able to bring in some fantastic talent to kind of replace and then better our program. And then looking to the future, it's going to be really exciting with that class of 2021 that we bring in to add into what we've got this year. With a couple kids already committed and more on the way, it's looking great.
All right, I got to ask you. Is it an endorsement of you as a young coach? Is it an endorsement of the environment of the program that so many of those guys that were eligible and girls that were eligible to go ahead and graduate as seniors and leave the program have elected to come back and finish their careers at Shawnee?
As far as I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to.
Well, you've got seniors that are coming back, don't you, that had eligibility restored because of the spring sports. Is that correct?
No, swimming's a winter sport. We didn't get any eligibility restored.
Okay, my bad. I thought you had said earlier that you did have guys coming back. So
no, we have a couple kids who needed another semester type thing that will be back around not competing. No, it's all the kids who were eligible to come back. They are, which is really exciting.
Good. Matt, appreciate the time. Congratulations on doing a good job at Oklahoma Baptist, and we look forward to watching you and the program grow in the future.
Thank you.
Matt Hood, the swimming and diving coach at Oklahoma Baptist University, is our guest on this edition of Todd Talk. We'll be back with another episode next week. For Matt Hood, I'm Todd Miller. See you next time on Todd Talk.